Welcome back to our breaking news coverage today as we're covering an extraordinary deal between the Justice Department and the IRS that not only gives the January 6th insurrectionists $1.8 billion to share amongst themselves for the criming they did, but also now we're finding out that the president and his family and his companies are going to be excused from ever having to undergo any audit from now on in perpetuity. And that is just incredible. It's nothing we have ever seen before. And by we, I mean Denver Riggleman, who's joining us. He's the former congressman and also a brilliant author and best-selling author and AI expert and many other amazing things that Denver Riggleman is. Hi, Denver. How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for joining us. And Ann P. Mitchell just rejoining us. She was with us earlier on, the advocate and attorney from the Notes from the Front Substack. Hi, Ann. Welcome back.
Hey, good to see you again.
This is, let me start with you, Denver, because we heard from Ann a little bit earlier on about the tax thing, but the slush fund, which is basically $1.8 billion that is going to be given to the January 6th insurrectionists, mostly, although they claim other people can apply. This is obviously touches a nerve with you, because not only were you investigating January 6th, you were there, you were part of the team that investigated the congressional investigation into January the 6th, but you're also very close to the story for a number of reasons. How does it make you feel to know that there is now a deal in the works that allows all these people who were convicted, who were found guilty, who attacked police officers, who defiled the Congress, that these people are not going to get rewarded for it to the tune of millions of dollars each?
Yeah, what's interesting is it's the symbolism of 1.776 billion, right? Mm-hmm. 1776. That's sort of it's a QAnon dog whistle. The other thing too for me that just is absolutely horrifying is that these individuals can use that money to sue other people. They can use it for lawfare. They can use it to try to just sort of rake over the coals of what happened in January 6th. And I'm to a point, the lawlessness and the corruption are so huge. I think I've run out of words. And the very fact that Proud Boys and Oath Keepers are going to be allowed to access this through somehow what they went through, the awful thing they did with the sedition and the traitorous activities they did on January 6th. I guess if you try to do some coup stuff, you're going to get some coup money. I guess that's what Donald Trump is saying. And for me, and somebody who saw the data, it's one of the most horrific and disgusting things I could actually. I don't even have the definitions for it. You do run out of words on how the lawlessness is.
When you talk about Oath Keepers, you talk about Proud Boys, these are militia people. These are people who are trained military people. These are not just, average Joe and, Jane down the street. These are real possible threats to the security and the future of democracy. They've been proven to do that. They've done this already.
Well, I did a movie called Against All Enemies, and Against All Enemies was actually produced by Sebastian Junger. It was directed by Charlie Sadoff. Ken Harbaugh was in it, Zev. It was me, but we were talking about the militarization and the radicalization of former military members. And the fact is, a lot of the January 6 individuals and Proud Boys and Oath Keepers are former military, and they've been trained as force multipliers. So we now have individuals getting money not only where they can execute lawsuits against people who thought they did them wrong, which has happened to me, by the way. That's why I can talk about it so specifically. But they can also use that money to outfit themselves. They can use that money to bully people in a way that we've never seen before. And I think he is creating, whether he likes it or not, he is creating a force that could be weaponized and can be violent and has the ability to do so and the monetary means to do so.
Unbelievable. Now, just Anne, you want to comment about that, and then also just this tax audit. But let's get your comments first on this 1.776 billion fund.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Denver, I am sure that he actually does like it very, very bigly, and yeah, as we talked about before the break. Somebody very precisely picked that number, that 1776, whether as a dog whistle, which I agree, but also it's such a, and Denver, this is what I said earlier, it's a huge middle finger by Trump to the American people. It's a huge middle finger to the people who, let's not forget what 1776 means. It's when we declared independence, and we declared independence in part because we were having taxation without representation. And now here is Trump taking $1.7 billion from the American people, from the taxpayers, and saying, haha, I can do whatever I want with it. And I have now executed this agreement that says that you can't even hold me accountable. And as I'm saying this, the only reason for him to have executed that agreement is that he understands that the Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity doesn't actually immunize him if it's not within the four corners of his role as the president. And someone told him that, I'm sure, and that's why we now have this second document. And Denver, have you seen the first document, the one creating the fund? Have you seen Section D of that document
I
where it
haven't seen
says,
Section D. I have not.
Section D basically says the United States cannot be held liable for any action flowing from this fund, including fraud. He
Hmm.
is he's foreshadowing there's going to be fraud and there's going to be tax fraud, more of it. And now he has this piece of paper that says he is immune from that. I happen to believe I have, as my followers know, I have great faith in our court system. And our court system has been holding the guardrails ever since January 2025. And I have great faith that once the people who are already working on getting this into court, figuring out the right angle, I have faith that it's not going to be a cakewalk like I think Trump thinks he just signed.
Well, it's not a cakewalk, but it is a remarkable goal. I mean, this is, these are the. Sorry, I deal with that. This is a remarkable goal. The fact that he's doing this and allowing himself, permission to commit this fraud to, $1.8 billion that has not been approved by Congress at a time when people are struggling to put, meals on the table. People are struggling to fill their gas tanks. And he's going to reward the worst of the worst, the people who broke the most important law of our democracy. He's going to reward them with $1.8 billion. It's just, Denver, it must be it's the most unpatriotic thing you can possibly imagine any president doing.
If it wasn't, you almost think about what it means to be an American, what we bought into. I've served my country in the United States military. I was United States Air Force, worked at the National Security Agency, served in the United States Congress, was on the January 6th committee, have created companies within a framework or a structure that the rule of law means something. Right now, it's really difficult, I think, for anybody. But if I can speak personally, Zev and Ann, it's very difficult for me to hold this in a place where I don't feel aggression, where I don't feel almost this protective violence about the United States of America towards what I see are some of the worst and most immoral, rudderless actors we've ever had serving in the United States presidency and those that he've appointed. Anybody who supports this is culpable. Anybody who supports this is part of an anti-American movement, the likes we have never seen. And I love your faith in the courts. I think it's very difficult for me because since January 6th, I've only seen sort of this slow moving effect of a continuing coup or coup-like movements is what I call it, and coup-like movements that are happening, and I don't know how to stop it. And that's why I think I need to get back into office. It's why I think I need to run again. It's why I think I need to actually assemble resources again to where I run against these type of individuals because I think they are the lowest of the low. I think they are the scum of humanity, especially Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and any white nationalist or Christian nationalist organization, the people that actually purport to support them, and anybody who signs off on this money going downrange, including Todd Blanche, I think is an enemy of the United States. I'll state it directly, and it's because of my oath. And I think I can say that personally, Ann and Zeb,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I also am a veteran. I've served. I've swore to uphold our Constitution twice, first as a military person in the Army and then as an attorney. And I agree with you 100%. And I will say that the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, their ilk, they are not patriots. We are the patriots. We're the ones who are defending the Constitution, and they are trying to, at best, ignore it or otherwise shred it. I almost have to give Trump a pass at this point because I truly believe that his cognition is non-existent, basically. And many other medical, I don't know if you saw Denver, but they actually entered into the register, into the Senate register, the a document of 36 different experts in their field saying, hey, we see this and we are very concerned. We believe he is a threat and a danger to the country and to the American people because his mental faculties are so far declined. So maybe he gets a pass, but boy, the people around him doing this don't.
Go ahead, Zev. Sorry.
Go ahead, Denver, please.
I was going to say, and being military is so great. Thank you too, right? You got an Air Force person. We got Air Force and Army here, Zev. We can take the ground in the air.
Thank you for your service, both of you.
Yeah, well, no, but I want to, my thing is, Ann, and what I've seen from this administration and the people around him don't get a pass. And Trump's, the fact that people have voted for a sexual abuser and a felon is something I've never been able to get my arms around. But there's that famous saying, right, Ann? Whether you get shot on purpose or on accident, you're still getting shot.
You're still shot. Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we're at as a country right now.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. The only thing that I would say is to be sure, and for the people out there, because I know you know this, Denver, but to whatever anger and aggression you're feeling, channel it into something productive, because that's what they want. I mean, there's
Absolutely.
no question that, the far right, especially, all the misinformation, the hysteria, they're whipping us into a frenzy. That's what they want, because as my followers will probably be sick of hearing me say, a confused populace is a weak populace, and we need to be strong. And oh my God, never before has it been more clear that we need to flip in the midterms. Every single person needs to get out there and vote.
I want to just get into this other part of this document. This was released today, and this is stunning. I mean, rarely for me to be completely speechless, but I did not know what to say about this particular edition that was posted today by the acting attorney general, who everybody knows is the former defense lawyer for the president of the United States. And, for those of you who haven't read it, maybe, Anne, you're the person who should be reading it, especially the C section here. I don't know if you can see it clearly enough to read. If not, I will.
Oh no, I've got it on my computer now.
Yeah. So what are we seeing here? This is an ability for the president of the United States to, in a part of the settlement, an agreement to never be audited, or his family or his companies or anything, for any tax violations.
Okay, so here's the thing. Anything can be put in a document. When I had my litigation practice, there were all sorts of things that we could put in there. It doesn't mean it's legal. I mean, obviously anything I created was legal, but the point is, you can put anything in a document. And so, sure, this document is, it's shocking, it's astonishing, it's corrupt. It doesn't mean it will stand up in court.
Even if it's signed by the Attorney General of the United States or the acting Attorney General?
Okay, have you seen some of the things he's signed that have gotten thrown out by the court? I mean, yeah. So
this is a remarkable thing, right? I mean, he's the defense, he's the AG, acting AG, but he's also previously a defense attorney of the plaintiff here, and he's coming to an agreement with the IRS. He's about as conflicted as you can be.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to ask Anna, think about a lawyer and an attorney general that would actually allow this document to go across his desk and sign it. It's I don't know. Again, it's hard for me to get my arms around. I am not an attorney. I would never claim to be one, but I can read English, right? And Zev, but I almost want to brand this as toilet paper, right? Is to actually take Section C and just put it on toilet paper, where it's always on every single sheet of toilet paper for people, because I think that's about to work with this document.
That's how people are going to perceive it. I mean, yeah, go ahead, Ann, please.
No, I was just going to say, I'll bet that would really sell also.
It would. And Todd Blanche shit paper. So I think that's what...
I'm in on that. It says here that he's forever barred and precluded from being prosecuted or being pursued, and all claims, counterclaims, anything related to any tax audits, anything that he might have done criminally, all his companies, his family, anyone related. This, I mean, I've never seen anything like this, but this can't do well with the American population. I mean, certainly no American taxpayer is going to feel good about the president being allowed to crime and the president's family be allowed to crime, ad nauseum without ever getting any consequence for it while they're having to pay their tax dollars every year.
Well, again, I want to point out something because I've seen people saying, as they have in the past also, that, now is the time we should stop paying our taxes so our tax dollars can't be used for this sort of thing. And absolutely do not stop paying your taxes, because they will just freeze your account. They'll seize your bank account and they will empty it. And I mean, that is not the way to do it. So don't do that. But again, I think I truly believe, my gut reaction as an attorney and as a law professor is that this will not stand up, and that Todd Blanche doesn't even have the authority to say that about the United States. He is not the United States. Now, yes, he would sign off on a settlement agreement for the United States. But again, we haven't actually seen that agreement, and it's not a court-sanctioned agreement because, again, they 86th that lawsuit before this supposed settlement agreement came out, and the judge had no way to sign it, to even review it, let alone to sign off on it. So it really, what it is a contract, and contracts can be broken. So I'm upset and I'm demoralized, which my followers will know is very hard to do. But I'm not feeling hopeless. I know there's a way to get it.
The Treasury Department has agreed to this, presumably, because I'm not saying presumably because I know it, but I assume that the fact that the chief counsel there resigned yesterday would have been likely part of this deal, and that would have been a reason why he would have quit his job. I mean, presumably that means the Treasury is now signing on to this agreement today.
Or maybe they just completely bypass the Treasury, and the agreement is just between the IRS and the president, and they agree to withdraw the fund. I mean, it's basically them robbing the Treasury. So maybe the Treasury had no part in it, and they just, the way it was structured. We don't know, though. It's all speculation until we see that settlement agreement. And I want to know who signed off on it, on behalf of each, because we haven't seen that. The only person who's out here front and center is Todd, Blanche.
Yeah.
Is it Blanche or Blanche?
Let's call him Blanche for now on. I think that would be Blanche. I think we should. That's what we should call him.
Yeah.
He was Mr. Blanchet was testifying before the Senate committee today, one of the Senate committees, and I want to just play you a clip of him because it's always good to look at the guy that is now making these incredible statements. Let's take a listen to what he said today. Sorry, here we go. This way
is the same as the Keep-Siegel
Has it ever happened that a sitting president sued his own government for $10 billion and then directed the settlement of the case and the establishment of a payout fund?
Not that I'm aware, but there's a lot of things that President Trump's the first of. No president had been indicted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Correct.
6, 7, 8 times either.
Correct. No president's been indicted. And will you commit that none of this money will go to President Trump's campaign donors?
I am not committing to anything beyond the settlement agreement itself. When you say campaign donors, that they are not excluded from seeking compensation.
Last question. During Police Week, I heard from a number of law enforcement friends who found it appalling that there was the possibility that folks like the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys who had assaulted Capitol police officers could receive multi-million-dollar payouts from this fund. Will you commit that no one who has been convicted of assaulting a police officer will receive a payout from this fund?
So I shared the concerns that apparently members of law enforcement gave to you last week, although none of this was announced last week, so that's surprising. But
they had heard rumors there would be a settlement fund.
Okay, but anybody can apply. The commission will set. The commissioners will set rules, I'm sure. That's not for me to set. That's for the commissioners. And whether an individual, an oath keeper, as you just mentioned, applies for compensation, is anybody in this country can apply.
And then they named the thing the 1.776 billion fund, right? I mean, It's a lie.
Here's the thing. So Chris Coons was on it, and I think that's what I was talking about earlier about how they were going to use these funds. This is a mafia-run organization. It's pretty much organized criming now. And what it is this. Here's what he's going to do. He's going to twist the arms of people he gives the money to actually give them a portion of the money back to Trump, whether through campaign funds or other types of vehicles, buying Trump crypto, laundering that money in another way back to the Trump family. As you know, he already did over 3,000 stock trades. He started the Board of Peace. His sons are self-dealing on drones and technology contracts for the military-industrial complex. Donald Trump Jr. got the largest loan in history from the Office of Strategic Capital in the Pentagon for $620 million, which they used to actually invest into other companies. So here's what's happening: is that this is simply, I would say, it's just a war chest for Trump to redirect money back to himself and to steal money from the American taxpayer. He needs to be impeached. Worse than that, he needs to be in jail. He is the single worst president, one of the worst human beings we've ever had in the history of our republic.
And
I cannot disagree with any bit of that. It's absolutely true. He needs to be impeached again, and this time he needs to be removed. The only question that I have that I haven't settled in my mind is, do we want him removed through impeachment or through the 25th Amendment? What do you think?
I don't think they'll get the 25th Amendment through. And you know what scares me about Congress, because I was there, is that there's some of the most mealy-mouthed, spineless bastards to ever serve are the GOP portion of the Congress now. And I think what you're going to have is he might get through impeachment where 4 or 5 Republicans might cross over, even with all the criming that's happening. But the Senate, I don't think, will convict him.
is this an impeachable offense? Is this actually something that would qualify as an impeachable offense? If he's, I mean, he's following is it for sure? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the great thing about Congress is Congress gets to set sometimes what an impeachable offense is, which is sort of wonderful in a way for a Congress if you had an ethical Congress looking at this. But he's doing things, and this is the thing that's incredible about what Ann said too about Donald Trump, and maybe he is non compos mentis, but I will tell you this: he has built the biggest, I would say, taxpayer-funded, self-dealing and self-licking ice cream cone in the history of the republic. And and I think that's what we're looking at again, is he's just stealing from the American taxpayer, and he's burning the corn. He's burning the crops after he stole the corn. He doesn't care if he's reelected. He's just getting as much money as he can right now into his family coffers.
Yeah,
It really is stunning.
I agree. It's the biggest. It's bigger than Teapot Dome, Tammany Hall. It's just outrageous. He'll get his, though. That's the thing. I'm sure he will eventually, because he can only, in the worst case scenario, he's there till, January 1, 2029, right? Worst case.
That's one worst case scenario. There could be a worser one than that. I mean, nothing he's doing is following the rules right now. There's no indication really that he's going anywhere. He might just stick around for as long as he wants.
No, he will not be able to do that. He won't.
Do we know that? Do we really know that?
I know. I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely know that he will not be able. He will try, maybe. Although honestly, I'm not sure that he'll live, or his brain will even live that long. So he may try, but he won't be able to do that.
I've said, things like he can't do that many times in this show in the last few years, and then, he does them. So I'm so nervous about saying those things, but I hope you're right. I hope you're right. One final thought on this. In June 1933, Gustav Krupp, I think is what he said, and Martin Bormann built the Adolf Hitler Fund of German trade and industry, and it reminded a lot of people of what Trump is doing right now. Bormann handed out the money on the Führer's name. The Nazis used the fund to compensate the SA stormtroopers who committed street violence. They subsidized the SS. They enriched party loyalists. It had reached 700 million Reichsmark by the time it finished in 1945. And it's got so many parallels that we're seeing here. The loyalists who basically enriched, the people committing the crimes, the street violence, were the ones getting it. And it's just another eerie parallel. I don't like drawing parallels to Hitler, but in this case, it really stands out.
I think, and Zeb, I'll be quick. I just think with the pardoning of the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys and the 1,500 or 1,600 individuals that we pursued and saw what they did, I saw the charging documents and the sentencing guidelines, and I think we're seeing something unprecedented in U.S. history, and that's really the reward of a coup attempt and insurrectionists, people who are convicted of seditious conspiracy, are being rewarded for helping Trump. I don't think there's any other way to put it. It's just simple. I think it's a simple equation at this point. I'm just out of
And
words on
funded.
it. It's just a
Oh,
simple
absolutely.
equation.
Absolutely. He showed us who he was the first time, and people still voted for him, which that's kind of the more shocking. That's as shocking as this. Kat, thank you. I'm glad you like my mug today.
What's your mug say? I missed your mug. What does it say? She's got cool mugs. This badass is a law degree.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. I
very
do like
nice.
that mug. I do. No.
It is also fun. This will be the last point here, but it is also giving these people who committed these crimes millions and millions of dollars to fund whatever it is that they might fund next. I mean, it turns them from being sometimes just, maybe they were enlisted servicemen or whatever, they maybe didn't have access to all this money, to having, a sizable fortune to do whatever it is they want to do next. It's it's building a personal militia in many ways.
I want to point out for everybody just that it's so obvious to us that this is so very wrong. But the thing is that the people on the other quote unquote side, they don't see it that way. I mean, I've had talks with people on the other side about various things. And at first, when I did that, I was just kind of shocked, like, how could you see it that way? But they genuinely don't understand how we see things the way we see it. And I think that's a large part of the problem. And I think that the schism is intentional, right? As long as we are all fighting against each other and we're all seeing, it's like the six blind men and the elephant, right? Then again, that's keeping us fractured, because can you imagine if enough people met in the middle to just topple this? But that's not in their best interest, obviously. So they're going to keep people from actually seeing the reality. So the people on the other side, the people who are going to be applying for this fund, although I think that a whole lot of people from our side should apply too and just gum up the
I
works.
might.
And
I might apply.
there you go. Like, especially if you've been mentioned by name, right? Or I mean, especially if he was dumb enough to actually issue an executive order calling you out by name. I mean, that's the thing, is that he did his weaponization in public, in writing. But anyway, the point is that those people, some of them actually believe, you know what, I have been wronged, I have been weaponized. Maybe they didn't see it that way in the beginning, but you can be sure that he is actually telling them, hey, I'm on your side because you don't even realize it, but you were wronged. You were, had the DOJ weaponized against you. So again, my point is that when people say, well, these are all just criminals and crooks, they don't look at themselves as criminals and crooks. They look at themselves as the people in the right. And no
Sure.
pun intended. So
Well,
I
broke the
think
law.
it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Jeffrey Dahmer just thought he was a chef.
Yeah.
Well, let's leave it there. There you go. That's a good way to end the show.
Really
Denver Riggleman is a former congressman. You can also read his book, The Breach, about January the 6th. It's a terrific book that takes you into the investigation into January the 6th. It's a really must read for anyone who's interested in what happened on that day. Also a great entrepreneur and tech guy. Anything else you want to share, Denver, about where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, Substack's just Denver Riggleman. I'm very, I'm so elite. Just Denver Riggleman, and you can go on X, Denver for Virginia, and on Blue Sky under Denver Riggleman. I'm a simple man, Zev, a simple man.
Oh, I don't think simple is the way I would describe you, but you can find him at Denver Riggleman. And Ann P. Mitchell, also they can find your incredible Substack with all this incredible source documentation that you have in it at Ann P. Mitchell. Talk about what it is you do. I know it's from the front, and then. Afterwards, I'll make sure you guys have each other's contacts so you can get in touch with each other as well.
I would really love that. And I, would love to know how I can help if you're really going to do another run, Denver. So,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what I do at the notes from the front is that I give, there's so much misinformation about everything going on with this administration and what they can do, what they can't do, what they have done, and especially in the legal context. So I give the facts and the truth about what's going on in the court with, the court system with respect to this administration. And I also include for my paid members, and it's just $5 a month, and that's, to keep me in coffee. I include the source documents. So you don't have to take my word for it. When I report on a case, I give you the actual documents. So that's what I do.
And it's really useful. Plus, you have this incredible database related to Epstein, and you can tell everyone about that at another time because you've told me this before. But it's fantastic, and Denver can be introduced to it too. Thank you very much both for your time.
Thanks,
I know
guys.
you have a busy day, and thanks very much for joining us.
So good to meet you.
Good to
Bye.
meet you,
Great
Ed.
day. Thanks
Bye, Ed.
thanks
Bye,
to
Zeb.
home for watching. Bye bye.